But, like, all of Japan is, like, the same as the West Coast.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, so that's what I have on the culture and the language. Okay, so I did want to get into a little history next. Like, post-World War II, because this happens in, like, 1984. So that's 40 years after the war. So, like, whoever's doing this could be in their 40s or 30s. So, like, they grew up, like, post-World War.
Okay.
So this would maybe influence them on, like, growing up like that.
Right.
So I wanted to go over it a little bit. So yeah, 1945, end of World War II, obviously, and Japan is devastated. They were bombed. I found a total of 66 cities were destroyed, which I did not know was that many.
In my mind, it was just 2.
Right. Well, the other ones were, like, bombed with, like, normal bombs.
Oh.
Like,
yeah,
air
I guess it
raiders
never
and stuff.
occurred to me that there... I feel like we don't learn that. Like, we learn
Right.
about... Well, probably because we destroyed everything. But we sure learned a lot about the European side of World War II.
Well, yeah, we don't want to talk about who we were against.
But yeah. In my mind, it was just the atomic bombs.
Right. But nope. 66 cities destroyed. Power structures also collapsed across Japan. Because, so part of, like, the Japanese, well, in 1947, they introduced a new system with a parliament, like a new political system where all adults can vote. Like, they used to just have an emperor, and then the emperor was granted, like, ceremonial status, so kind of like the king and queen of England. Like, they don't really make decisions anymore. But they also had to renounce, like, war and pledge not to have any land, sea, or air military forces. So, like, because of this, they don't have any military, and they don't really have a lot of police presence.
Okay.
So, there's basically anarchy.
Yeah, that
post World War
sounds
II.
scary.
Yeah. So, a lot of this was from the book. I did not finish reading the book, but I did read most of it. But there were turf wars between, like, street gangs and what they called, like, third nationals, which was, like, Korean and Chinese residents. So, like, the third nationals, I don't know if that's should say it like that, but that's what the book said.
I think it's fine.
But they would have, like, gangs, and they would go and try to take over certain cities, like, force the police out, and then the Yakuza actually, like, backed the police and was, like, the force needed to make sure the town didn't fall to these other gangs.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And they hate the Yakuza.
Oh, right. Well, this was a different time.
I know, they needed them.
Right.
The secret heroes.
Right. Yeah, they're really, like, vigilante. And also they had to give up, like, all their guns and stuff, pretty much, like, post-war. So, like, they're fighting, the book said, like, they're fighting with, like, bamboo sticks and, like little, like, kitchen knives and, like, butcher knives and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But, yeah, the Yakuza was a huge help during this time. And they were really integrated into, like, the local community. Like, they would, like, help couples solve disputes and, like, keep the peace.
Wow.
So they were, like, really helpful during this time.
Well, they probably just didn't want everything to, like, fall apart. I mean...
Right. And it's also it's their turf, right? So it's like that, this is our home. Like, you guys get the fuck out of here kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the inner outer, like, no, this is ours.
And even if we were going to do that anyway, you can't do it because we're doing it.
Right. Yeah, this is our area. We run it around here. You can't do it.
Wow.
So, yeah. And, I mean, they didn't have a lot of police, but if they needed to help the police, then that's what they do. Also, a little fun fact that doesn't really have a lot to do with anything, but I never knew this. Like, the Yakuza have, like, 2 different categories. So the Tosei-nin and the Kagyo-nin. Tosei-nin are, like, pure Yakuza, like, pure illegal activity. But then the Kagyo-nin have an actual, like, legitimate business in addition to being Yakuza.
Oh.
So, like, they are doing both sides.
Full-time employees and part-time.
Yeah, like they would own companies that are legitimate, but also it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of like the Ozark.
Oh, like part of it is yeah, okay.
But I don't know if that's true. But it said they actually had legitimate work if you fell into that category. But it also was like in the Yakuza world, that's a lower category. Like you should just be full Yakuza. Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting because I never heard about that.
Yeah, I did not know that.
But yeah, back to post-war. People are desperate. Iron and scrap metals are worth a lot, so people are just scrounging around in the rubble to find anything they can to survive. And this happens like for like over 10 years, people are doing this kind of stuff. Because I found in 1957, there was the Girard incident where a housewife was inside a U.S. target range and she was collecting spent cartridges for the metal. And then she was accidentally shot and killed by a U.S. soldier while she was doing this. Yeah. So, like, people are really desperate during this time.
Oh, wow.
Also, 1948, there's a major earthquake in Fukui, which is close to Kyoto, if you want to look at the map. It's close to Osaka area, too. But this is only 3 years after the war, and this claims 4,000 lives. And most of that city is then left in rubble and burning as well.
Right, as if it wasn't already bad enough.
Right. Yeah, it definitely doesn't help morale. And it's hard for like the areas around there to recover. I mean, they eventually do, but yeah, so sum it up, like post-war life is tough. Like even having Yakuza there, like Yakuza still cause problems because they still like pick fights. They're still gambling. Like they're like paying for women or whatever. Like but they're also poor too because they're spending all their money that they do get on all those other things. At least the lower members.
Oh.
So like it's just not a good time. And also like I saw some people like wear yukata all year round, which is yukata is like meant for summer and it's very thin material. It's like a kimono but for summer.
Okay.
But people would have to wear that like year round because that's all they owned. Like some people literally owned only one piece of clothing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it gets cold there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like it snows maybe. Well, Nagoya snowed a little bit, like that area.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say it doesn't get as cold as like Chicago, but
still.
Yeah. So also like there has kind of always been communal living, like maybe 3 or 4 generations in one household, but like during that time too, like there were so many more people sharing households that maybe weren't even related to each other.
Like now.
Yeah. Yeah, but like there were like 20 people living in one household.
Oh my god.
Together just to survive. I mean, they're looking out for their neighbors and stuff.
Right.
So people are banding
together.
Circle. Yeah. But just I can't imagine that.
No.
Oh, also, this was crazy from the book. Fun fact number 2. Apparently, during that time, they still used coffins. Like now they do cremation pretty much. But there was only one size coffin back then. And so if you didn't fit, the funeral director had to like break your legs for you to fit. I mean, you're dead. Oh my
god.
But yeah, but just to fit you in the coffin because there was only one size. But I mean, since like 1950, they started doing cremation more. I wonder if it was because of like post-war and stuff, but like now they pretty much do. Like 99% are cremation.
And they have a very small country.
Yeah, they don't have land.
With a huge population.
Yes. I'd say that's more why they needed
to just start doing like at sea burials.
Yeah, I just didn't even, when I read that I didn't even think they used coffins at all, but I guess they did until like towards the 80s was when they started really doing cremation. But
right. Well, I mean, I think it's makes more sense. It's like all that stuff they like embalm you with, it's like littering. Like at a certain point, why are we putting that in the ground? and sealing it up.
Yeah, and doesn't like some of the better coffins not even degrade or whatever too?
Yeah, forever. Like,
right.
You could get like a metal coffin.
Doesn't really make sense. I want to be changed into a diamond.
I saw, this is so not relevant, but I saw this, there's like companies in some states that do like human composting.
I saw that too, actually. I saw TikTok about a company that was doing that.
Yes. At first, the one I saw, they had like a skeleton, and I was like, is this like...
I think we saw the same thing.
Ceremonial? Like, metaphorical? But then I realized they just weren't going to show a real human.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they said you get like, what, 6 bags of soil or something?
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah.
It's not legal in Texas. But...
Oh. I don't know if it's here or not. I'd have to look at it. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely reasons to not be buried versus like other stuff. But yeah, another little tidbit that maybe is not that relevant, but in 1950, baseball is reorganized into Nippon National Baseball and explodes in popularity, which, so the way Japan works too, Japanese, they have katakana for foreign words, and they just take your foreign word. Like soccer is saka. Like they just take how it sounds and make it a word for them. But baseball is like one of the only foreign words that has a Japanese word. Because they love it so much.
They love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I knew that. They love baseball.
Yeah. It's really like football is here.
Yeah, do they still love it?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I feel like the US had like that baseball craze. Like when baseball took over in Japan, the US was so into it, and probably before that, but like now, I feel like people go to baseball games to get drunk. I don't know.
I've never been to a baseball game.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I would say like how some countries get about soccer or like how we get about football, they're still like about baseball.
Wow.
So that's a big thing. 1955, so they had major political party changes, so that ushered in a new era, which they called the 1955 political system. Very
creative.
Yeah, so creative. But like that changed a lot of the police structures and like other government run organizations. So like they're starting to get better police presence 10 years after.
That's a long time though to live with that.
Right. And they're also starting to see some economic growth, which is promising.
That's good.
In the 1960s, there's major revisions to the Japan-U.S. Security Pact, which is met with widespread public opposition, but it still goes through. So that's, 15 years after the U.S. bombed the crap out of them?
Right.
But yeah, so that might lead to some anti-government, thoughts among the public. Or at least the people who were... Because there was a lot of opposition, major protests everywhere. But
what was the... what were they... What did they change?
I'd have to look it up. I could look
That's
it
okay.
up.
It's not that important.
I could look it up.
No. We love approximate facts.
Yeah, this episode's not about this.
Right. I don't know why I asked.
No, it's fine. That's a fair question.
Just leave it. Yeah.
It's a fair question. I just did not look up. It was in the book, but the book has so many details that minute details. I feel like that's very Japanese too, that he got so nitty-gritty into things that I really was not reading the book for.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what they changed. I feel like it was access that the US had.
Oh, because I thought we have quite a bit, or had for a while, quite a bit of control over.
Yeah. I mean, we still have bases there too.
Right.
And they still don't have military or anything because of this. Us. Yeah, they rely on us because they're not allowed to have military. I know. So I feel like it was revisions to how the US would be occupied there or whatever, be present there.
Wow.
But yeah. 62 to 64 is lots of nationwide Yakuza fights, like fights between different Yakuza groups. So more